NWTC Weekly. I'm your host, Krista, of National News in 19 Seconds.
And I'm your host, Dustin, of NWTC News.
For this weekly episode, we are bringing your local and national news. Starting off with national news in 19 seconds. Your news reporters have traveled far and high to bring you these stories, but there's a catch. They must get their news stories to you in less than 19 seconds. And once their timer's up, it's on to the next. So let's go ahead and check in with them.
Good afternoon, it's National News in 19 seconds. I'm your associate, Ken Kogis. Let's get started. Instagram News. Instagram is the most popular photo sharing app owned by Meta Incorporated. Announces the new editing app amid the CapCut ban. This act is a result of the popular CapCut under the company ByteDance, which is the creators of the owners of TikTok. That is me.
JNR's Aquatic Animal Rescue is a exotic pet surrender in Neenah, Wisconsin. Since 2020, they have rehomed over 8,000 animals. That is crazy. They're always looking for volunteers, so go check them out.
CBS journalist Jonathan Viglietti rescued 3 dogs trapped in Pacific Palisades fire. They're closed in the house. The neighborhood's roads became impassable. Viglietti managed to break the glass on the front of the door.
Incarcerated rapper P. Diddy, a.k.a. Sean Combs, appeared in court for a brief hearing in his federal case, which federal prosecutors say they plan to disclose all available evidence to his defense team by the end of the year in preparation for the May trial date.
New generation coming this year in 2025. Did you hear? Generation Alpha out, Generation Beta is in. Now, did you know there's a new generation? Babies born this year is going to be Generation Beta. And that generation will watch the clock tick over to 2100.
Escaped lab monkeys spotted in South Carolina woodlands. The missing monkeys have been reunited after their escape from the U.S. research lab. More than 3 dozen monkeys escaped from the private research facility last November after a keeper left their pen open.
In a heartwarming rescue effort, 70 dogs from the shelter affected by the Los Angeles wildfire were brought to Arizona shelters. Over half the dogs in Tucson ready for a fresh start. Getting the dogs to Arizona was an all-hands-in project.
Southwest Airlines pilot charged with DUI while preparing for takeoff. David Paul Alsop, 52 of Bedford, New Hampshire, faces a driving under the influence charge following his arrest at Savannah Hilton Head International Airport. According to police reports, his eyes were bloodshot and reeked of alcohol.
You're done. All right. Rise in diagnosis and prompting of the United States in adults. Do I have ADHD? A recent study means they're suggesting that there are more than 15 million U.S. citizens that have ADHD. Roughly 1 in 17 have been diagnosed with ADHD. The condition also starts in early childhood, and I'm going.
A 10-foot alligator has been rescued from the Florida storm drain. By using a winch from a truck, they lifted the culvert lid and removed him. The gator is off to a facility to be rebred for genetics.
Savvy, founder of the youth advocacy nonprofit profit group, the Campton Cowboys, have been rescuing horses in California wildfires. The organization, whose motto is Street raised us, horses saved us.
A former veterinarian has been convicted of stalking and killing another man after the victim discovered the defendant was having an affair with his wife. On January 22nd, a jury found Stephen Milner guilty of second-degree murder, stalking, and violating a court stalking protective order in connection with the death of Kenneth Fandrick.
Excuse me. Trying to find my lines.
Wait, did we mess up? Did I mess up?
I found my lines. I don't have that much time. Generation Z is redefining workplace. So don't screw up, employers, or we're just gonna quit. Last page.
I read that one. Oh, the turtles. Okay. FWC offers rescued 30 sea turtles during historic cold weathers in Florida. 6 to 8 inches of snow in Florida. Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission said 2 officers braved the freezing water in the Gulf country to rescue the cold, stunted sea turtles.
Boston Animal Rescue League prepping to take dogs displaced in the Los Angeles fires. The nonprofit is hoping to make space this weekend. All adoption fees are lowered to $100 for the weekend to adopt a dog. What kind of dog are you looking for? What draws you in for a dog or a pet?
6 people who were injured and the father of a man who was killed in the New Orleans truck attack sue the city for failing to protect them from an Army veteran who sped around the police blockade and raced down Bourbon Street, killing 14 people and injuring over 30.
Well, I think that's the rest of the news in national news in 19 seconds. I was your associate and correspondent, Ken Kojas. Thank you so much for watching. Back to you guys.
Wow, that sure was a lot of information.
Man, I'm out of breath just watching that. I don't know how they're going to manage to do it every single week.
Yeah, to keep up with that every single week, but what a load of information.
Yeah, that's insane. Good luck. Good job on each of them, on each of the news people.
Lots of very interesting articles. I really enjoyed hearing, such an array and packed full in one news episode. It's just excellent. Excellent job to our news reporters on National News 19 in 19 seconds.
Now let's bring things back a little closer to our hometown. What is going on here at NWTC? Check out this new clip on this new exhibit in the Commons, Stories of Survival, where we interview students at NWTC about their thoughts about it.
Located in NWTC's Commons area, Stories of Survival, Object, Image, Memory was created in cooperation with the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center, as well as with genocide and Holocaust survivors. Photographed by award-winning photographer Jim Lomason, the exhibit was created to share the stories of war and genocide survivors through the photographed possessions of these survivors, as well as written records by these survivors.
I'm Jen Patron. I'm currently working on software development and technical support.
I enjoy the idea of the exhibit, hearing the survivors' stories, even though I was only in there for a little bit. It was very heartwarming, even though there's sadness. There's heartache with their survivors, with the people that they left behind. But I think it brings great awareness and connectivity to the stories and the people that went through such heartbreak.
On July 20, 1992, Miroslav Kausovic was captured by Serb forces and was sent first to a Marska concentration camp and then to a second camp at Majanca. After the Majanca camp was closed under pressure from the UN, Miroslav spent 6 months in Croatia until he was able to immigrate to the U.S. and settle in Chicago. Both of his brothers were killed in the war. One is still missing.
The exhibit tells the survivors' stories through several exhibits with photographs and personal anecdotes from the survivors themselves. The exhibit is displayed from January 27th through February 7th, open 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
The main thing that I was thinking is that I definitely needed more time. There's just so much in such a small space. There's a lot to think about, so definitely want to think about it more and revisit it.
I know a lot more just through the few that I had read.
These cards are actually from the concentration camp. It was a camp called Manyacha. Being in that camp for 5 months is no way that a normal person could understand what we went through, and our mind was in the lost stage. So this was a box of cookies, and somebody came with the idea to cut this box in pieces and create the cards. We actually had to play this secretly. The cards were one of the way to somehow kill the time and depression. You know, make a day go easier, because every day was like a month.
The exhibit reflects on the stories of 59 survivors of genocides and conflicts, including the Armenian genocide, the Cambodian genocide, the Iraq and Syrian civil war, the Rwandan genocide, the Sudan civil war, the Bosnian war, and the Holocaust.
I think one of the things that kind of caught me was that one of the artifacts was a dinner plate, and it reminded me of a pattern that like my parents had or my grandparents had. So it was something that I recognized, and so there's that little bit of connection. Just kind of like putting a face to a name, you know, making a connection with people.
There was two, and I don't remember what they exactly were, but it was a wife that lost her husband and her 2 children. She talks about how the dad was such a great dad, and she's reminiscing on the memories that she had with him. And then the other one was she's 3 or 5 years old, the daughter that had passed away. And it's tragic, but there's such love in the words through all the sadness. Love is evident.
If I could show here is a very interesting also that he wrote recipes how to make a food. The paper is from the cigarettes. In other nations, again, Red Cross brought us every 2 weeks cigarettes. Somebody came with the idea to write recipes thinking it will make your stomach, your brain confused and maybe you feel full. After a camp I read, this actually idea was from some Jewish concentration camp in World War II, and then somebody who was educated, I guess, came up with this idea, and that's how we end up writing these recipes.
In addition to the photographed items and anecdotes, the exhibit also includes video interviews with the survivors themselves, as well as recorded versions of the anecdotes over video.
Absolutely, I think we should. I always like when there are exhibits here. I went through the Face for Every Name exhibit, and that was really good too. I think it's important to visit the things that might be uncomfortable, because that's how you can recognize them in the future.
No, I think it's a great exhibit. I enjoy the ones that are reading through the exhibit material, the stories, because some of the handwriting was a challenge for me to read, but then once that guy came through and he's reading through the story, I felt like I connected with it even more. It made it have more flow. So I think I think it's great. I think, like I said, it's great to have that awareness and that history and to be aware of what they went through and love them through their story as, you know, where we are right now in life. So
we wrote anything and everything that, you know, we could come up with. How to make crepe, how to make chips, some macaroni with cheese. Because imagine you don't eat for 1 month to 2 months. And then you eat grass, you eat anything comes to you, you know. So idea of writing the recipes is that another way to help to survive. My name is Mirsad Kausevic. I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Survival of concentration camps, Omarska and Manjača.
wow, those were some truly touching stories.
For students looking to go check this out, it is still going on. Check out the exhibit here in the Commons.
Well, that looks to be it for this week's episode of TC Weekly.
Thank you for tuning in, and make sure to check back this Thursday for our variety show.